Hey folks, welcome back. I'm your host, R.R. Slugger, and I recently made the long overdue switchover from a Windows operating system to Linux Mint OS. As such, I've been seeing a lot of lime green lately, so I figured why not finally talk about the limiest LEGO series out there, Power Miners. Now, a bit of a disclaimer up front. There's no other series I get asked to weigh in on more than Power Miners. This is understandable given my vocal admiration for Rock Raiders, but I just want to warn you that drawing comparisons between the two does not end well for Power Miners. I'm sorry. I'm going to try to focus on some of the more positive aspects of Power Miners first, but inevitably I'm going to have to explain why I don't love the series as much as Rock Raiders. It's going to sound like I'm really tearing down Power Miners in this video, but please keep in mind that it's being compared to my favorite LEGO theme. Everything is going to look bad next to Rock Raiders, that's just how it is. I also want to specify that I'm not typically the one lumping these two themes together. In fact, I don't really view them as being all that similar. But online, I often see the same sentiments come up. Power Miners has cool digging vehicles. Rock Raiders has cool digging vehicles. Slugger, you must love both of them, right? Well, we'll get to that. Originally released in 2009, Power Miners is often dubbed the spiritual successor to 1999's Rock Raiders. I think this holds true, and I felt so much so at the time that I went out and bought these 3 sets from the original wave, despite my waning interest in LEGO back then. I recognized that this was going to be the next generation's Rock Raiders, and while I wasn't in love with what I saw, I wanted to show my support nonetheless. Design-wise, I think all 3 of these sets are stellar and sport play features that are a cut above anything we saw in Rock Raiders. If there's one thing Power Miners does better than its predecessor, it's set engineering. The Thunder Driller in particular is a design that would be right at home within Rock Raiders, with some period-appropriate parts, of course. I have to believe that everything about Power Miners stemmed from this set, as I feel it to be the paradigmatic outing for a series based deep underground. With that being said, I've got to admit that it's actually the Claw Digger that's my favorite of the bunch. The digging play feature on it is just too much fun. Similar to its equivalent in the Loader Dozer, it prioritizes play over display. The Granite Grinder takes an easy 3rd place here, though I still think it's a solid set. The drilling play feature is again well designed, and I admire how lumpy they allowed this one to turn out. It's not winning any points for style, but it kind of works for me. What doesn't work for me is the drill piece, a tired reuse of Layrak's staff from Bionicle. I'm gonna harp on this, but I'll try to at least explain my reasoning. Maybe you had to grow up with Bionicle elements being shoehorned into system sets to truly appreciate them, but I often find their inclusion distracting. To be clear, I think there is a significant difference between reusing a specialized system piece within a system set and reusing a specialized Bionicle piece within a system set. For me, the difference is twofold. Firstly, the hyper detail of many Bionicle pieces stick out like a sore thumb to me. The level of detail clashes against the simpler look of system bricks and feels altogether out of place. Aesthetically, I just don't like the look of this. Secondly, I grew up with Bionicle, so I know exactly what these pieces are supposed to be. This is Layrak's staff. I can't unsee that no matter what recolor they use. I just can't suspend my disbelief to see this as anything else. Now, this isn't a slight against Power Miners specifically, but rather my growing disinterest with LEGO at the time. Many themes were blighted by this, though I will admit there were some times where this practice was more fitting than others. Anyways, since I'm on the warpath already, let's talk about that color palette. Potentially the most polarizing design choice surrounding the series, the colors behind Power Miners are, at the very least, unique and unforgettable, for good and for bad. If you're a fan of scribbling highlighters in a coloring book, then Power Miners is definitely a series for you. I've talked about this before in a previous video, but it's not the color choices themselves that bother me so much, but rather how they're used. Lime green and orange make for some great highlight colors against an otherwise gray and black chassis, but that's not at all how they're utilized here. Instead, we get something akin to Nerf gun color coding, as if LEGO had to legally affirm that these are indeed toys. And toyetic design is fine. I can totally understand if this floats your fancy. For me, the colors are just a little overkill as they are. So, is it just the colors? Is that why many Rock Raiders fans I see online don't give Power Miners much love? Well, I can only speak for myself, but it goes much deeper than that. Or rather, Power Miners doesn't. As a surface-level action theme, Power Miners excels. I've already sung the praises of the trio of sets I own, and I really do hold the series in high regard as a spiritual successor to Rock Raiders. However, ironically, Power Miners makes little effort to dig below this surface-level fun, and I think it's here that we discover the theme's greatest shortcoming: the setting and the atmosphere. In the world of Power Miners, seismic vibrations are shaking the surface of the planet, causing a team of miners to be sent underground to investigate the source. Within the caves, they find tiny rock monsters eating energy crystals. Crystals that, when consumed, cause the monsters to vibrate energetically. The mission then becomes one of collecting these crystals before the rock monsters can. Once the Power Miners dig deep enough, they abandon their mining equipment for vehicles focused on combating the heat of the molten core and various new lava monsters. Kind of an odd turn for a series called Power Miners to do away with the mining side of things, but it was quietly called shortly thereafter, so I suppose it's barely a footnote. So, what's the issue here? For me, it's the lack of mystery and depth behind the world being created. The inciting incident is definitely intriguing though, I will admit. Vibrations from deep underground causing the whole Earth to tremble? Cool! I wonder what it could be. Oh, it's just little rock goblins burping and farting and throwing temper tantrums? Huh. It's okay for a story to have silly elements, don't get me wrong, but Power Miners is an entire body made up of funny bones. Even when the bigger rock monsters do arrive, they're still played for laughs. Is there anything in its story that Power Miners wants me to take seriously? And not just as an adult, but as a kid. Kids can handle stakes in their stories. Contrast that with Rock Raiders. While there are certainly silly characters and creatures in the vein of Power Miners, there are also serious threats to be had as well. The rock monsters are meant to be feared, potentially lurking within any rock face, ready to break out. Even the toys accentuate this difference in storytelling philosophy. There's no goofy smile on the original rock monsters, only a semblance of stones that slightly resemble a face hidden within. In addition, there are so many more creatures within Rock Raiders. Slugs, bats, spiders, snakes, scorpions, whales, you name it. Who knows what else the Rock Raiders might encounter on an uncharted planet deep underground. This effervescent sense of mystery is well embodied within what is essentially the Rock Raiders theme song. Have a listen to this. Fans of the 2001 era of Bionicle can hopefully relate with how an enigmatic piece of music can strike a chord within that sticks with you for the rest of your life. This is that, but for Rock Raiders. Contrast that with the music from Power Miners. A great action track, don't get me wrong, but it certainly doesn't convey a feeling of wonder or intrigue to me. Likewise, the previously stated toyetic design of the sets themselves only further betrays any deeper immersion into the story being told. At every turn, Power Miners is going out of its way to remind me that it is indeed a toy, and any investment in the world building on my part is wasted effort. This isn't to say that this is why Power Miners is bad or anything. Power Miners is just fine on its own. But it isn't Rock Raiders, and drawing comparisons between the two only serves to derogate Power Miners further. I really do try to love Power Miners for what it is, rather than hate it for what it isn't. But when forced to draw connections between it and its predecessor, the shortcomings of Power Miners become impossible for me to ignore. Power Miners has cool drilling vehicles, and that's about all it has in common with Rock Raiders. On a surface level, they share superficial similarities, but I posit that in substance, they're worlds apart. Nothing within the Power Miners story causes me to think beyond what's presented, or even invest myself within their plight. But maybe I'm the wrong slug to ask about this. After all, I only have hands-on experience with 3 of the sets. Checking out a larger video like revisiting Power Miners with Cheesy Studios, or smaller in-depth videos like the series being produced by Jack Back might be what you're looking for if you want to hear a more positive take on the theme. Anyways, I can't see myself talking much more about Power Miners in the future, but you never know. Still, it's been fun looking at a few of the sets here today, and hopefully I've helped exemplify the similarities and differences between it and Rock Raiders. Thanks for watching, everyone. I've been your host, R.R. Slugger, and I'll see you next time for some more high adventure deep underground.